What would happen to the face of Black wealth if more of us started to do cash mobs? You're probably asking, well, what is a cash mob? Cash mob is when you get at least, I would say, 20 people gathered together and go support and patronize a Black-owned business. And that can be done on air, online, in a community, face-to-face. It can be done. But the question is, what would Black wealth look like if we started to do that more often? And so I'm Kamari Ellis, everybody. Welcome to the Finance Rebel Show. Many of you know me, have been rocking with me for quite some time. I have done some cash mobs in advance, and I ran across this interview, and I wanted to talk about it because I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And as we go across it, I want to share my experience of doing cash mobs and how we can, one, support one that's going on right now and maybe organize our own. But all right, again, I'm Kamari Ellis, Finance Rebel Show. I wanted to talk about this today because I saw a great interview on the Social Proof podcast with a company called CurlMix. And I'll come to that in a second. But before we get to that, I want to talk about this real quick.
I'm going to figure out here. You remember this guy that came out and said that AI is going to need electricians and plumbers because they're building all of these warehouses and, they're going to need plumbers. Somebody's going to have to do the building. And I remember it being shared of saying, yep, that's what it is, guys. Plumbers is the way to go. Well, I just wanted to stop by.
Now, real quick, the person that she's talking about is Jensen Huang. I might be saying his name wrong, but he is the CEO of NVIDIA. That's the person she's talking about. Jensen has mad money. Last time I looked, he had over $160 billion in net wealth. But she has a really interesting take, something I kind of talk about quite often too, but check this out.
I give you some data. Now, this guy, he is not from China, so I want to be clear about that, but he's obviously of Asian descent. I wanted to kind of Google because I said it's so interesting because I've never encountered an Asian plumber. Not saying that there's not Asian plumbers, but I just don't see a whole lot of Asian plumbers. So I was curious to see how many in China are their children being told that the way to go is to be a plumber. So just thought I would share the information with you. In China, as of 2023, 6.7 million undergraduates, college students, study to become engineers. 36% of all students in China choose to be an engineer. Now, in case you've been living under a rock, because I think this is something we all know, that many immigrants that come to America may work in skilled jobs, but they tell their children that they only have three options: doctor, lawyer, or engineer. That's just a fact.
Do y'all do that? Do you know in your community, your family, do y'all do that?
See the push to be a plumber. Now, again, nothing wrong with being a plumber, nothing wrong with being an electrician, nothing wrong with any of those things. But I thought it was important that when somebody from a particular community says what my community should be doing, I always want to know if you're telling your community the same thing. And the data just doesn't show it. Now, you can go look this up on ChatGPT yourself. I even Googled to see how many plumbers are in China. And did you know that China doesn't even define plumbing as an occupation? They don't even call it an occupation. And there's no data that can even show how many plumbers are actually in China. Another important fact that you should know, only 3% of engineers are Black. 3%. Another fact you should know, of all U.S. attorneys, only 5% are Black. We have 68,000 Black licensed attorneys, not even 100,000 attorneys. However, in the content creation space, there are over 200 million content creators of all races. There's over 4 million podcasts.
Is it me, or is it that every young child you come across wants to be an influencer, a YouTuber, a content creator? I know I run across that a lot. Tell me what y'all think, or tell me what y'all seeing.
I just want to put the data in your mind, since there's a constant conversation about just be a podcaster, just be a content creator, just monetize on YouTube, and not enough information on just be an engineer, just get into STEM, just be a doctor, just be a lawyer. Just thought you may want to have the stats. So it seems it's quite clear. Do you want our children to be the engineers that program the AI robots? Or do you want our children to be the plumbers and the electricians that build the warehouses that the robots occupy? I think China has made the decision quite clear what side they want their children to be on. And for those of you that can't wait to comment, what about those student loans? I say, what about them? You get a loan for everything else. You get a loan for a car that immediately loses its value the moment you drive it off the lot. You pay rent. That's just like throwing money out the window. You go get cash advance loans. You spend money on everything else, largest consumers in the country, for things that hold no value. But all of a sudden, when it comes down to investing in yourself for an education, now all of a sudden you're fiscal Fred, and now you're so against loans. If there's one thing that I'm going to get a loan for, I'm going to bet on myself, because it's something that they could never take away from me. And guess what? If I don't qualify for income deferment, if I can't get a payment arrangements, then just like we say with every other bill collector that call your house, fuck those loans. This has been Teslin Figaro. Like I always say, use it, lose it. Can't make you choose it. Peace.
All right, so if y'all haven't been aware, like this whole scuttlebutt, one about college, one about does it make sense to go to college anymore? Is the cost making sense to go to college anymore? Is there a good return on investment to go to college anymore? That's one point, right? Then there's all kinds of content floating around. For example, I don't know if any of y'all follow. So there's a rapper by the name of Joel Santana that last week said that reading was not important. I didn't go over it because everybody else did it, and I didn't just feel like jumping on a bandwagon, but it was terrible. But it seems like oftentimes in our community, we are anti-education, whether it be formal or informal, a lot of times. And I find it interesting because openly and publicly, I don't see a lot of other communities doing that. Now, to be fair, I'm also not keyed in on other communities as well, but this commentary is floating around like crazy, and it drives me crazy as well. And so I don't get it. I do not get it. But when you look at this right now, Teslin Figaro is one of my favorite political commentary personalities, right? She's worked with Bernie, done a lot of stuff, and I think she is spot on when it comes to politics. She is not a Republican nor a Democrat. She's Black. And so she always preferences that, just like me, right? She always talks about that. And I think her analysis of local national issues are pretty spot on. Pretty spot on. But going back to this thing, this idea is that why are all the Black people saying that we shouldn't go to college when all the positions that shape our society 9 times out of 10 require a college degree, whether it's a lawyer? You heard her talk about that, right? Only 68,000 people, Black people, are lawyers in this country. Well, if we don't have lawyers, we don't have anybody to truly represent us in the legal system. That's a problem. We know that the legal system and the legislative system have targeted Black folks, Black communities, Black areas disproportionately more than other areas. So we need Black people in those spaces to represent us. And before anybody says all skin folk ain't kinfolk, that is true. However, we have a greater possibility of being able to withstand these legal and legislative attacks when we do have lawyers on our side. All right. If you think about Thurgood Marshall, his boss, not his boss, his mentor, Charles Hamilton Houston, all of those folks were lawyers or law professors, and they all worked with the NAACP at that time. And they made it so that you had to fight to go through the legal system to really disparage or put down Black folks. They were a part of that front. It's really important. So, it's not just a simple of don't go to college, just go to trade school. Don't go to college becoming a plumber. Don't go to college becoming an electrician. it takes a little bit more thought, a little bit more nuance in that. So I would just say be careful when everybody else is telling you to say or become plumbers or the quote unquote lower end of society that doesn't have a whole lot of sway in the law and the construction of society. Be careful about what's truly going on, because that can be a really, really dangerous thing. Really, really dangerous thing. All right. Now, like I said, I wanted to talk to y'all about CurlMix. Now, I saw a podcast with this young lady, Kim Lewis, on there talking about her business, but she is doing what's called a cash mob. And if many of you know me, y'all know I've been involved with cash mobs in the Philadelphia area for over a decade. So this really caught my eye. And so I want to talk about this real quick. And there's two parts of it I want to talk about. So let's look at this right here. Uh-oh. I am having technical difficulties. Why is it not playing? It's supposed to be playing. Oh, I know why it's not playing, because I'm not doing it right, y'all. Give me 1 second, everybody. Give me 1 second. By the way, how was everybody? If you are just checking in, check in. Throw something in the chat. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're hailing from, and we'll get right to it right now.
You guys, I hoped I'd never have to make a video like this. CurlMix may have to close on December 31st. We need 20,000 orders to remain open, and this has been the most difficult year in business. This year in business was harder than COVID, with tariffs and taxes and ingredient costs going up and shipping time slowing down. Yes, our team went from a size 40 to 14. And that partially explains why, we've had some delayed orders or longer replies in customer service. Everyone on my team is doing 2 to 3 different jobs, and we hire locally, stateside, for most of our roles. And it has just been so hard to stay alive. So many of my friends' businesses have closed, and I made a post about this last year that we didn't want to be one of them. And our crowdfund that we raised last year was not enough. We needed 4 times what we actually raised, and we didn't get it. It was a tough market. And so my family pulled together cash. I borrowed money from some mentors. And that's what's gotten us to this point, you guys. We've been the most efficient with our capital that we've ever been in any year in business. We've lost the least amount of money for the amount of revenue that we had. We are truly operating way better than we ever have. But cash is tighter. It's hard to get inventory. Business is just harder to run. And funding is dried up. There's no other place to get the money. And so I never wanted to make a video like this, but I figure if CurlMix is important and if it deserves to be here, and if our community wants it, our community will show up for it. I believe that. I really, really believe that. I love what we do and who we do it for and who we serve. And the only reason that I have not given up and that I am still here is because you guys invested in me. You guys invested in CurlMix. You bought equity in our company, and I want to continue to show up for you. So I'm not giving up. Okay. We're launching Protect CurlMix, which is essentially our campaign where you spend $100 or you buy a CurlMix bundle or Protect CurlMix bundle, or you donate. And if we get 20,000 orders in the next 60 days, we can stay alive so that I continue to serve you and give you guys good products and not make things that are toxic for you. We have a high standard of quality in our ingredients, our products, and what we serve, and what we give you. And I want to continue to do that for women like us, people like us. I think we deserve that. I want to continue to add jobs in the community. I want to keep jobs local. I want to make impact, and you guys can be a part of that. And thank you for everything you've done thus far. You're like, girl, I don't got it to give. That's okay. Can you share the campaign? I appreciate everything that you've done. Truly, truly, truly. Yeah, guys, help us protect CurlMix. And thank you for everything you've done thus far. We couldn't be here without you.
And so essentially CurlMix is what they're doing. This Protect CurlMix is a cash mob. That's why I love it. And I'm going to contribute to it. I would buy the product, but I don't think the product can be used to be. You saw how thick and luscious and beautiful that sister's hair was. And her name is Kim Lewis, by the way. But I'm going to contribute because That's what I do. That's what I believe in. And I believe in putting my money where my mouth is. But I found her by way of a podcast called the Social Proof Podcast. And I thought it was a great conversation. And it was a conversation you often see me talk about with my brothers Jimmy and Corey, and sometimes with Courtney, about Black business, the need for Black business, why it's so important, and what we can do to be creative in order to make this thing called Black business happen in our community. So I want to cue this up real quick, y'all. And it's not playing. I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties today. I don't know what's going on. I had all this stuff. I tested it out. It worked fine. And now it's not. All right. Well, let's start all over from the top. Start all over from the top. Un momento. Let's see.
You know, it might just take our community getting more money. Like, if we have more money in the bank, we probably have a lot less problems. And that's tough because that's systemic, and it's not all our fault why we don't have the money that we should have. So it's
which is why you create the fund where other people can actually benefit from the success of this company.
Of course, which is why we, build companies so we can hire Black folks. Black folks are the number one employer of other Black folks. So the more of us that stick around, and the more of us that protect CurlMix, the more of us, will be able to employ more Black people. And what I really hope for this movement, because I've seen other people start to kind of pop up with similar offers or like protect my business. I hope that in 2026, people are doing protect, insert business name. And they're running their own campaign, because I really think group economics is how we solve the problem.
Yes.
Because no one's going to do it for us. No one's going to give us the money.
Hold on. Did y'all hear that? Group economics? Now, this sister has been rocking. She's made over $40 million in her existence. I think they've been around for at least 5 years. But what did she say? Group economics. I don't know. I've been preaching this for a long time, y'all. Long time. Sometimes I think nobody's listening, but somebody's listening.
Because no one's going to do it for us. No one's going to give us the money. Trump's not going to write us no checks for
Hell no. He don't care about us.
Black-owned businesses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but if we are each spending $100, which each month that we know, you know what I mean, as much as you can, like that, and we collectively do it, it's almost like a cash mob. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can fix a lot in a business with a cash mob. So I think we just need to help each other with group.
So y'all know my antennas rose up when she said you can fix a lot with the cash mob. I've been talking about that for a long time. Plus, I wanted to highlight her business as well, because again, I wasn't familiar, but it's always great to see young CEOs, young founders who are talking that Black talk in the right way. We're not looking for a handout. We're looking to do it right and get support from the community that we're from, so we can then in turn support our community, right? So I encourage more people to do more cash mobs. I encourage more people to support more cash mobs, support CurlMix. Again, like I said, I'm going to contribute, and I ain't got no hair, y'all. I mean, except for my beard. Now, I don't know if I can use it on my beard. I'll do some more research to see if I can use it on my beard. But when you think about group economics, when you think about cash mobs, when you think about wealth, America has told us, everybody, that you got to pull up your bootstraps, that you have to be an uber super tight individual, rough and rugged, right? But when you look at all the institutions that have all the billions and now trillions, it's never one person. It's never two people. It's always a team. Wealth is a team sport. Now, everybody can't be on the team. You have to be selective about who's being on the team, but nonetheless, it is a team. It is a team. And so when you think about this, you have to think about, what can I do to work with other people and be creative so that, one, all of us create wealth together, and then two, figure out a product or service that we can take to market that is needed. I've heard, again, I don't use the product because I can't use the product, y'all, but I've done a little bit of research on it, and it seems like it's gotten great reviews. So they are taking their product offering very serious and bringing it to the market. And so, again, as we talk about cash mobs, as we talk about cooperative economics, it's something you got to really think about, because, again, if we want to just say, I want to keep things the same, then we're just going to keep doing things the same and everything will stay the same. But if you want to make some changes, you got to do some things different. And as they say, success leaves clues. But I always wonder, what clues are y'all looking at? And in what perspective are you looking at them? Because again, every major industry, if we want to go through banking, you need multiple people to have people on the board for a bank. If you look at hedge funds, usually hedge funds have partners. If you look at venture capital has partners and they all collectively raise money for the overall fund, right? When you look at businesses, multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporations, they have people on the board. By the way, a lot of people think the CEO is in charge of the major corporation. It is not. It is the board of directors that is in charge of it. The CEO handles the day-to-day operations. The CEO handles the execution of the overall strategy that the board, and sometimes the board and the CEO or the board and the executive team formulate together. But everything goes back to the board. The board is the fiduciary of the corporation, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit. And if you don't know what that word fiduciary means, is the buck stops with them. They are responsible. They have to make sure the bills are paid. They have to make sure nobody steals the money. If somebody does steal the money or doesn't pay the bills, they oftentimes are the ones that are liable and get in trouble. So we have to start thinking about this in a broader context and a more creative one. And I want to show y'all this last clip for the day, and then I'll be out of your hair. And again, I am having technical difficulties, y'all. Let's try one more again. All right, so so before I was trying to load these up in advance, but I think I'm not going to do that anymore because I try to have them ready. I'll just have them ready and then pull them up as we go along. So let's try this again. Let's try this again. But forgive me. But I want to know, what do you think about this so far? Throw it in the chat. Is there a way for Black businesses to help create more Black wealth so we can live a better quality of life, so we can have more books for our children? You know, we always complain about education and public school system and there's no books. But my question always is, well, why don't we buy our own books? And again, not to say that our tax dollars shouldn't go for it, but at the end of the day, the work still has to be done. So what do we do? What do we do?
Why are we just protesting some and boycotting some store?
Now, y'all know, if y'all rock with me, y'all know I'm not really for boycotts. But this is not a diss at boycotts. This is another way to maybe look at the overall economic landscape.
Don't just boycott them, buy them out. Find every Black product on their shelf. Coordinate that. Go coordinate a 3-hour buyout. Buy out everything they've got. Then send a letter. We need to become more sophisticated in our approaches. Send a letter to the CEO, the chief financial officer, the chief buyer, right, and the lead director on the board. We just bought out all your products that are Black manufactured. Please reorder. And let us know when you reorder. We'll be back. Now you got respect. Now they say, oh my God, okay, this is an emerging market. It's not Black people. This is green. It's always been, Brandon has always been green.
Now, that's John Hope Bryant. He was on the, I want to call it the Butter Economics. I might be messing it up, might be, but it's another podcast. It's pretty cool. But what is he talking about there? He's talking about a cash mob. That's what he's talking about. Right. So the 3-point for all of these is a cash mob. And again, I was going to tell y'all about my experience with cash mobs, and I'll tell you in a second. But he's talking about a cash mob. He's talking about organizing, mobilizing, going out, buying Black products, whether it's in a Target or Walmart or somewhere, somehow, and buying them out. And then saying, hey, we organized this, Mr. CEO, Mrs. Buyer, whoever it may be. We organize this. Order more. And they were saying, let's flex our economic muscles that way. I think that's actually a good idea. Now, I like some of John O'Brien's stuff. Some I don't. I'll be honest. But I think he's spot on with this right here because he's being creative. And I think what we have to do is start taking creative approaches to our situation. We're not going to work or we're not going to get change if we keep doing the same things. And please don't confuse this with, because I hear some folks say, yeah, you're stuck in the 60s, you're stuck in your history. We should always stay in our history, right? We need to know where we're from so we can know where we need to go. However, it's nothing wrong with coming up with a new approach. There's nothing wrong with testing and trying out something different. Just by saying, hey, we're going to boycott Target. Don't really have real data and facts to back it up. And you have to really understand business to understand what I'm talking about. Some people are saying that since the stock price is down on Target, that it's a success. But when you look at the markets are totally kind of in flux now. When you look at retail across the board, retail is down now. You can't substantially pull actual data points to say that this in effect is helping this problem for Black people, right? So when you look at it from a Black lens, how is this going to help Black people? I don't see that folks can do that. And everybody that's talking about the boycott, and again, no shade to the boycott, I don't see any real business people, any real academicians, any real economic people talking about the boycott, except for those who are promoting said boycott. But it is what it is. But I like Dr. Bryant's approach. Again, it's a cash mob. It's people, Black folks getting together, or folks getting together, and you gotta be Black, you can be white too. But we're saying we're going to buy Black product. At the end of the day, that's what it has to be about. Buying Black products that then come into Black owners who then help support Black workers who ultimately support Black communities. I don't know that the boycott does that. And I don't see us focusing and harnessing our power to do that. Listen, focus is one of the most important things in the world. And when your focus is spread out all over the place, you typically don't get anything done. What's that old saying? If you chase two rabbits, you'll get none. Again, because if you're chasing two, you're trying to go after two different things at the same time, but you're not focused on the one thing to really get results, to really become successful and harness. Like, focus is truly a cheat code, y'all. I don't know, but what do y'all think? I've been talking a lot. Go ahead, drop it in the chat. Do you think CashMobs work? Do you think people should go after college, go after trades? What do you think the best approach for the Black community is? Again, I'm Kamari Ellis. This is the Finance Rebel Show. We'll be back. If you want to find me, or if you want to be in community with me, going over to what's called the Black Wealth Rebels. We call it our village. Go over to Black Wealth Rebels. It's free. We do a lot of community talk in there, cultural talk, money talk. Go on over there and subscribe. Again, it's totally free. And there's a lot of value in there, y'all. Okay. So go over there. Like I said, blackwealthrebels.com. Until the next time, I will see you all soon. Y'all have a great day. So long. Until the next time.